Hello everyone, this is Smriti here, TGT Science from SR International School. And the topic that we'll be covering up today is transport and excretion in plants. Like we all have already studied about how transportation of various nutrients takes place in human body and then how the waste is being thrown out of the body. Similarly, it takes place in the plants as well. Let's study further about how transportation of water and minerals along with food is done in plants. Well, plant has two main tissues. One is xylem and other one is phloem. Xylem and phloem are the basic two tissues which are responsible for the transportation of food as well as for the transportation of water throughout the plant body. Xylem and phloem, these are two tissues which in center have a cell which is called cambium, and when these three combine together, that is xylem, cambium and phloem, when these all three combine together, they make up the vascular bundle. So now coming next on to how water and mineral is transported in the body of a plant. To transport water and minerals in a plant's body, tissue xylem is responsible for the same. Xylem actually is a tissue which helps in the transportation of water, taking that water and minerals from the roots of the plant and thus providing the same to whole of the plant body. This is done by a suction pull created by xylem, and this whole process is also known as ascent of sap. Now when we talk about how food is being transported in a plant's body, we all know that food is produced in a plant's body with the help of the process or by the help of a process called photosynthesis. Now the leaves, they prepare the food in a plant's body, and from the leaves, this food is taken up by the tissue through tube-like structures which are spread in whole of the plant body. These tube-like structures are called sieve tubes. So, phloem, with the help of sieve tubes, gathers or collects the food from the leaves of the plants and thus provides this food in whole of the plant body. And that's how transportation takes place in a plant's body. Alright, so in between, while we were talking and discussing about how water is transported from xylem, with the help of xylem, through entire body parts of the plant, we must discuss about one more topic, and that is osmosis. So what is osmosis? Osmosis is the process of the transfer of solvent molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Now what is the meaning of semi-permeable? As the name says, semi means half, somewhat. Permeable, something that is permitting. So semi-permeable means permitting the flow of liquid or any solvent in a semi-way manner. That means in little bit quantities. So osmosis is the process in which solvent molecules passes from a region of high concentration, that means from a region where the solvent is more, to a region of lower concentration, that means to a region where solvent is less, through a semi-permeable membrane. So that's what osmosis is. Alright children, so now coming on to how circulatory system functions in a human body. Human circulatory system is also known as cardiovascular system, and in humans it is divided into three parts. It can basically be divided into three parts, that is blood, blood vessels as well as human heart. You'll be learning about human heart with the help of a simple diagram which I'll be explaining in the same video after this. So when we talk of blood, let's start with blood. Blood consists of two main parts, that is plasma, which is a yellowish liquid consisting of 90% water, and other parts consisting of basically some minerals, enzymes, some proteins, some micro impurities, etc. Talking next about blood cells, like we have basically three main blood cells, right? One is RBC, red blood cells, or also known as erythrocytes. RBC or erythrocytes, they consist of hemoglobin, which helps in providing red color to the blood and also helps in supplying oxygen to various parts of the body. Next, talking about WBC, that is white blood cells, or also known as leukocytes. White blood cells or leukocytes, they help in fighting with disease-causing organisms. Third is thrombocytes, or also known as blood platelets. Blood platelets or thrombocytes are helpful in blood clotting. Next, coming and talking about blood vessels, we have basically three main blood vessels. There are arteries, there are veins, and there are capillaries. Let's start and discuss about each one of them particularly. When we discuss about arteries actually they contain oxygenated blood, and arteries are helpful. They are used, the main function of artery is to carry oxygenated blood from the heart to all the body parts, right? When we talk of veins, the basic function of vein is to carry deoxygenated blood from all the body parts to the human heart. And when we talk of capillaries, actually arteries, they divide into thin tube-like structures which are called capillaries, and when capillaries they join together, they form veins. Talking about human heart, learning and understanding the working of human heart through the simple diagrammatic manner. I'll be making a very simple diagram, not the one of the actual human heart, but a very simple one, just in order to make you all understand how human heart works and how it functions.
Right, children. So in this video, you'll learn about the working of human heart. Well, the heart is a conical muscular organ which is the size of your fist. The heart is a two-sided, four-chambered pump. The upper two chambers are called atria or auricles, and the lower chambers are called ventricles. The right and the left side of the heart are completely separated by a muscular partition which is called septum. This is not a proper diagram of human heart, but this is just to explain you how the heart works or the functioning of human heart. So now let's understand. The deoxygenated blood, or the blood which is not carrying oxygen, or the blood carrying more of carbon dioxide in it, is called deoxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood from all the parts of the body enters the heart in the first chamber through superior vena cava, which is the largest vein. It enters the heart in the first chamber, which is right atrium or auricle. As the blood will reach any of the chamber of the heart, the chamber will contract. As the blood will reach right atrium or auricle, the right atrium or auricle will contract. As this chamber will contract, it will pass on the blood to the, or deoxygenated blood to the next chamber, second chamber, which is right ventricle. Again, as the deoxygenated blood will fall into the second chamber will contract. As it will contract, the blood will now pass on to pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, they act as a passage of the blood from the heart to the lungs so that it can be made oxygenated. So the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle passes on through pulmonary artery into the lungs. Here in the lungs, the deoxygenated blood is changed into oxygenated blood. Now this oxygenated blood passes on to pulmonary vein, and through pulmonary vein it passes on to the third chamber of the heart, which is left atrium or auricle. In the third chamber, again as the blood goes, the third chamber contracts. As it contracts, the blood or the oxygenated blood will fall into the fourth chamber, which is left ventricle, and as the blood will fall onto the fourth chamber, which is left ventricle, it will now pass on and now it will be transported to all the body parts through the opening or through an artery which is called dorsal aorta. And this is how human heart functions.
Next, before proceeding on to excretion in plants and animals, let's first discuss about one very small term, that is blood transfusion. So let's get this terminology very clear. What is blood transfusion? Blood transfusion is the process by which blood is passed on or transferred from a healthy person to a needy person. The person who gives the blood is called the donor, and the person who takes that blood is called the recipient. Well, now finishing off with this and starting up with excretion in plants. What is excretion but? Excretion is a process in which waste is removed out of the human body. So not just human body, instead, even from the plant's body. So when we discuss about excretion in plants, let's start with it. Excretion in plants, like we all know that plants prepare their food with the help of photosynthesis, like in a way, and that way is called photosynthesis. That whole process is called photosynthesis. So when plants, they prepare food, the food is then transported to all the parts of the plant body through the tissue called xylem. Phloem it is. Well, xylem helps in transportation of water and minerals, whereas phloem is responsible for the transportation of food. Just to remind. So with the help of phloem, that food is transported in all of the plant's body, and then the waste is excreted out. So in a plant's body, the waste is excreted out either in the form of a bark of the tree, right, or it gets like as an outskirt skin in a plant or a tree, and thus it gets shed off, or in other ways like resins or latex, which is rubber, etc. Coming on to excretion in animals, along with social animals, that is we people. So first discussing about how excretion takes place in certain organisms, like even microorganisms like amoeba. They diffuse the waste out of their body through their membrane, like they have a membranous body. So the waste which is produced inside their body by taking in the food, the food got diffused into their body, the same way the food is diffused out of their membranous body. Next, let's discuss about earthworms. Now, earthworms, they have excretory organs which are called nephridia. So they are responsible for excretion in earthworms. Similarly, talking about cockroaches. Cockroaches, they have excretory system or excretory organ which are called Malpighian tubules, which help in excretion in cockroaches. Next, talking about excretion taking place in humans. Now, when we discuss about humans, we all know that in humans, excretion is done in 3 ways. Number 1, excretion through carbon dioxide. Number 2, excretion through sweat. And number 3, excretion through urine. Let's discuss all these 3 points one by one. Well, when we discuss about excretion through carbon dioxide, we all are aware of the oxidation process which takes place in a human's body. So when this oxidation process takes place, carbon dioxide actually evolves as a byproduct or as a waste product, and thus is the way we take in oxygen. Similarly, carbon dioxide is exhaled out of the body, which by the simple process which we all term as respiration. Next, talking about sweat. Now, our body has certain sweat glands. Like for example, if we sweat through our armpits more, or if we sweat, through our nose or upper lip or even the hands, these body parts, they have sweat glands which help in expelling out all the dirt along with water out of the body in the form of sweat. Third, coming on to urine. Urine consists of nitrogenous waste, basically. Nitrogenous waste mainly like urea, uric acid, and ammonia. From out of all which, urea is one of the most it's the main nitrogenous waste produced in human body. Now, when this nitrogenous waste is produced in human body, it goes through kidneys, which are two bean-shaped structures to organs which are placed at the back of our abdominal cavity, at our back near the abdominal cavity. So, now when we discuss further about kidneys, this nitrogenous waste, they go inside the kidneys. Kidneys have certain blood vessels, like thin thread-like structures, which are called nephrons. Now these nephrons, they're responsible for clearing up this waste from the blood. As nephrons, they clear up this these nitrogenous waste from our blood. Now this nitrogenous waste, the clean blood, is then circulated in the human body, and this nitrogenous waste, it now passes on into a tube-like structure which are called ureters, into urinary bladder, and then when the pressure increases, this liquid is sent out of the body through urethra, and that's how complete excretion process takes place even in humans.